All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really powerful narrative called The Harvest of Humility, a tale of two farmers. It's a story that completely flips the script on what the world tells us about success, and it really forces us to redefine what it actually means to be truly rich. Let's get into it.
Right off the bat, I want you to think about this profound piece of wisdom, because it basically anchors our entire story today. Money comes and goes. Gratitude stays. I mean, think about it. We spend so much of our lives chasing things that eventually just fade away. But the character who says this, a man named Samuel, well, he gets it. He understands that your internal state, your gratitude, is a permanent asset. No storm, no market crash, no stroke of bad luck can ever take that away from you. Keep that idea in the back of your mind, because it's the exact lens we're going to use to look at everything else today.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at two completely polar opposite approaches to life. First up, we have Henry. He owns the biggest farm in the county. We're talking enormous harvests, brand new trucks, the works. But alongside all that material wealth is a massive ego. He firmly believes he built his success completely alone, owing absolutely no one. And then, contrasting him entirely, we have Samuel. Samuel is a poor servant working on Henry's land. He lives in a tiny cabin, he literally has holes in his work boots, and dinner is often just a meager bowl of soup. But despite all of that, he practices daily profound gratitude.
Now, when Henry hears Samuel expressing thankfulness, he doesn't just disagree with him, he actively mocks the guy. He laughs and tells Samuel he should be praying for money, not saying thanks for being poor. And then Henry drops this line, "Gratitude doesn't buy tractors." That right there encapsulates Henry's worldview perfectly. If it doesn't yield a tangible, physical asset or boost his bottom line, Henry thinks it's completely worthless. He is so laser-focused on the mechanics of capital that he is entirely blind to the mechanics of the human heart.
On the flip side, you have Samuel's daily morning ritual. Every single morning before heading out to do backbreaking labor for a boss who openly makes fun of him, Samuel whispers, "Thank you, Lord, for another day." It's honestly an incredible mindset. Like we just said, his dinner is often just bread and soup, and yet he finds abundance in simply being alive. He isn't waiting for a massive harvest to feel successful. He's totally decoupled his joy from his material circumstances. And that makes him incredibly resilient, especially compared to the super fragile ecosystem Henry has built around himself.
But as we all know, nature has a funny way of leveling the playing field. It's late summer and Henry is banking on a record-breaking harvest. His pride is just off the charts. But overnight, everything changes. Dark clouds roll in and a violent storm sweeps across the countryside. Wind, flooding rain, lightning strikes, the whole shebang. By sunrise, half of Henry's life's work is just totally destroyed. And the hits just keep coming. A few weeks later, his tractor breaks down, and the repair costs are way out of reach. Literally, in the blink of an eye, the weather wiped out all of Henry's perceived control.
So, how does our proud farmer react to this crisis? Pretty much exactly how you'd expect from a guy whose entire identity is tied to his wealth. Samuel actually comes up to him, very gently, and says he's sorry this happened. And Henry just snaps. He yells, "Sorry won't fix my crops." He gets incredibly bitter. He starts cutting wages, yelling at his staff, blaming the weather, the government, bad luck, literally everyone but himself. And sadly, he completely rejects Samuel's offer of hope, because Henry's material wealth is gone, and since he had nothing else, he's now bankrupt in spirit too.
But the narrative shifts dramatically one afternoon. Henry is driving into town looking for supplies, and as he passes Samuel's tiny cabin, he stops dead in his tracks. There are neighbors gathered around, kids laughing, people carrying baskets of food. Henry walks over, super curious, and he sees Samuel inside, serving hot soup to other local families who also lost their harvests in the storm. Henry is absolutely stunned. He looks at this impoverished servant and asks, completely baffled, "Why are you giving it away?" Because to a man like Henry, giving away your limited resources when you are already poor defies all logic.
Now, what's really interesting here is Samuel's response, because it completely flips Henry's economic worldview upside down. Samuel says, when people share what little they have, no one has too little. It's this brilliant concept of communal abundance. See, Henry operates on hoarding, keeping everything for himself to ensure his own survival. But Samuel operates on flow. He understands that a community's real safety net isn't made of massive individual bank accounts. It's made from the willingness of individuals to share their meager portions with one another. It's a completely different mathematics of survival.
Henry tries to argue, of course. He tells Samuel he's just making himself poorer. But Samuel replies softly, "Helping others makes me feel richer." And boom, those exact words plant the vital seed in Henry's stubborn mind. Samuel is showing him that true wealth is an internal feeling of connection and purpose, not just a number on a ledger. And this seed of wisdom is planted in Henry right as his own farm is facing total, inescapable collapse. The tractor's broken, his fields are a mess, and he is entirely out of options. His pride has officially hit a dead end.
Then an absolute miracle happens. One Saturday morning, Henry hears engines. He steps out onto his porch and sees dozens of pickup trucks lining his road. Farmers from neighboring towns pour out carrying tools, seed, and their own equipment. And together, they pull off the impossible. They repair his broken fences, plant new crops, fix the heavy machinery, and clean out the damaged barns. They work side by side for 3 whole days. And here is the craziest part. Not a single one of them asked for a dime. It was a massive, completely unpaid community intervention to save his farm.
Henry is entirely speechless. You see, Henry operates on a strictly transactional belief system. He literally says to them, "But I've never helped any of you." In his mind, because he never deposited any goodwill into the community, he shouldn't be able to make a withdrawal. But an older farmer reveals the beautiful reality. He says, "No, but Samuel has." Wow. The rescue of Henry's multi-million-dollar farm had nothing to do with his wealth, his pride, or his self-reliance. It was the direct result of Samuel's compounding, daily kindness. Samuel's small acts of shared soup built a stronger safety net than all of Henry's money ever could. That evening, Henry walks over to Samuel's cabin. And in the quiet of the night, we hear this incredibly vulnerable, transformative confession from the once proud farmer. He says, "I've spent my whole life believing success made me important. But when I lost everything, the only thing that saved me was kindness." This is a massive breakthrough. We are literally witnessing the death of Henry's arrogant ego. He finally realizes that the isolation he disguised as independence was actually his greatest weakness. His journey from a flawed, arrogant boss to a deeply humbled man is complete right here. So the crucial point is right here in Samuel's response, which delivers the core moral takeaway of this entire fable. Samuel says, "Fields grow because of rain. People grow because of compassion." It's such a brilliant farming metaphor. You can have the best seeds, the best soil, and the most expensive tractor in the world, but without the rain, something you cannot control or buy, the field dies. It's the same with us. A person can have all the money and status in the world, but without the rain of human compassion, their soul simply withers away. Compassion is the essential nutrient for human growth. And what's great is that this wasn't just some fleeting emotional moment. It resulted in real, tangible action. From that day forward, Henry completely changed his ways. He actually started thanking his workers and paying them fairly. He actively stepped in to help struggling families during difficult seasons, becoming a true pillar of support rather than an island of wealth. And every harvest festival, he made it a tradition to donate a portion of his crops to the local food bank. He literally turned his farm into an engine of generosity. As we conclude the story of these two men, there's a beautiful, poetic irony to it all. Years later, Henry was remembered not as the richest farmer, but as the kindest. And what about Samuel? Well, Samuel never became wealthy. His cabin stayed small, his clothes remained simple, and his boots probably still had holes. He never achieved that typical dream of financial abundance. Yet despite his material poverty, the entire town called him the richest man they knew, because he had built a vast, untouchable fortune in social connection, love, and respect. Let's summarize the central lesson of today's explainer by contrasting these two very different paths. On one hand, you have pride. It might drive you to work hard and fill your pockets with cash, for sure. But when the inevitable storms of life arrive, pride leaves you completely alone in the wreckage. On the other hand, we have humility. It might not buy you a fleet of new tractors, but it fills your heart with gratitude. And crucially, it brings the entire community to your side when you need them most. Honestly, kindness is the ultimate insurance policy. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn this profound moral lesson directly over to you. What are you planting for your harvest, and how will you measure your true wealth? Are you only planting seeds that yield a financial return, or are you planting seeds of kindness, compassion, and community? Because true wealth isn't measured by what you manage to keep hidden away in a barn. It is measured entirely by what you are willing to give. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this story today. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you next time.